Welcome back, guys. Quivs here, Quivs Does Stuff. This is the third video in what has now become a Let's Play. It wasn't intended to be a Let's Play, but I am really enjoying playing Astroneer at the moment, so I'm gonna continue playing Astroneer and making this into content for you guys. So in our previous video we had just finally found copper. We'd been able to produce our solar panels for the first time. That's one of these over here. Let's load this research item up into the research chamber so we can get more of them good old bytes. Right, so in this video we definitely have to try and get off this planet because we're at the level now where we should be ready, but there's a lot of things we're going to have to research first. The first one is we're actually going to need a spaceship, and that is going to cost us 1,500, 1,600, some thousands of bytes. Where is it? It's hiding in here somewhere. Ah, here. Right, small shuttle, 1,500 bytes. So that's going to take a little while. This is going to help us a little bit. I do know there was another one of these over there. So I'm going to run over here quickly and grab another research item just because I know I'm going to need it soon enough, so we might as well have it. Oh, there's another 2 over here. Alright, we'll have to remember to come back for the third one at some point. But again, like last time when we came over here for the first one, we'll come back when we need it more than just now. I suppose I could just go straight back because research is really what I need at the moment. I'm sort of bottlenecked. I can't construct anything else worth constructing at the moment. I can construct a few things, so we'll start building things that we actually need for when we leave the planet. So I'm going to want another wind turbine and small solar. I could just take these 2 with me, but I tend to leave one small wind turbine and one small solar attached to the shelter just to help out the machines on this first planet, Sylvan, where we started. So we'll make another small solar and another small wind turbine to take with us. Other things that we're going to need when we leave this planet is we are going to need... We're going to need another large table. So we'll make one of those. Large platform B. Let's not make the same mistake we made earlier and waste resources on an A, which doesn't have as many slots. We're going to need an oxygenator. We're going to need a medium printer. Medium printer can be made from the small printer, so we'll do that now. That's going to cost us 2 compound. We're going to need... Can't think of what else we'll need. We'll need other things. A lot of them will require us to actually research first, so we'll get to that soon as well. Where is the small wind turbine? Because we've already got a piece of glass. Construct that now. And we'll actually slot that for now because it might as well provide power to the base while we're here. We'll take it with us when we actually need it. Small solar. Another one of those. Again, might as well slot it into the base. Alright. And there's our medium printer. We'll leave this over here by the landing pad for now. I don't think there's anything else I can construct yet, because everything else I'm going to need to actually research. So the small shuttle is one of the things we're definitely going to need. We definitely need an oxygenator, so I'm going to have to research that. That's another 1,800 bytes, so that's a lot as well. So we're up to 3,300 if my math is correct already worth of things that we need. What else do we need? I think that's actually about it. That's about the minimal you need to get off the planet, is a shuttle. Oh yes, and of course we're going to need some form of propulsion for said shuttle, which is going to be down here, I believe. And that is the solid fuel thruster. That is the first thruster that you'll get in the game. We can research that now, so let's do that since we're going to need it, and we'll actually construct it as well. That requires ammonium. Now I do know where there is some ammonium, so let's go and grab some ammonium. It should be over here if I remember correctly. Nope, that's not where the ammonium was. It's amongst the plants somewhere nearby. You could see it from base. There's ammonium. I don't know whether that's the ammonium I was thinking about, but hey, that's ammonium. We'll go and grab that. So we'll grab some of this. We'll grab a lot of it because ammonium's a pretty rare resource. I normally make this. Oops. It's more than we can carry, so we'll carry this last one in the mouse cursor. Which makes you a lot slower, but I mean, you can still move, and I've got an oxygen tank, so I should return home pretty safely. Dump that there. Drop that large platform there because we're going to need that eventually, and solid fuel thruster. So we need ammonium and aluminium. Have I started refining the aluminium? I have not. Dump the excess ammonium on the ground, put my oxygen tank back where it should be. Go back to tether bundle so I free up the space on my backpack. Alright, and so now we definitely are just waiting for enough bytes to build the things that we need to build. And that's going to be that small shuttle. Alright, so the small thruster is also a module, like all other modules. It is placed, oops, on the underside of the ship, which I won't be able to show you until I actually build the ship. But it comes packaged in a package this size, same as the medium printer. What else is there? Okay, so when you build the small shuttle, it has one dual slot. That's one of these slots here you can see on the edge of this large platform. And you can put an oxygenator in that slot, and that is sort of what that slot on the shuttle is actually intended for, that dual slot. So for you to put an oxygenator in it, and as I've said before, the oxygenator allows you to use, well, in video 1, allows you to create tethers. Use these tethers to actually create a line that provides oxygen. So you can put that on the shuttle, an oxygenator on the shuttle, and then you can use tethers and you'll actually connect to the shuttle. However, getting these large or medium packages, since this is a medium package that unpackages into a large item, large module, getting them off planet is not possible with the first shuttle unless you use that oxygenator slot. So I tend to actually use that oxygenator slot to take a large platform with me. And then the other thing I'll take with me is I'll take one already refined aluminium, because that is the hardest thing that you need to get on a starting planet to build a soil centrifuge. Again, in my previous video where we made the soil centrifuge for the first time, the soil centrifuge is extremely useful. Whoops. Because you can just use soil to produce basic resources. So it's extremely useful. So I tend to take one aluminium with me. I try to find a few, I think it's compound. You only need to find 2 compound on the planet that you then arrive at. And you can then build a soil centrifuge. You've already got the platform to put the soil centrifuge on. I'm going to take with me these 2 small power producers. So I will then have everything I need to produce most of the basic resources without having to actually leave my landing position on the new planet. It's a personal preference. It's not how one needs to go about playing the game. Aluminium laterite is found on every planet in the game, so you don't need to take it with you. You can take an oxygenator in your space shuttle and then find all the things that you need to build the soil centrifuge and get all the resin that you need to build a large platform, if that's your preference. Like I said, my preference is the large platform B because of the extra 2 slots on the sides and the minor requirements. It's only 3 resin, it's pretty cheap. But that's not how I do things, because then it takes a really long time to get your new base on a new planet set up and going. So I try to do things differently. That's just the way I do it. You don't need to do it that way. Alright, we're only at 705 bytes, so we're going to need a lot more research. So let's run around and gather some research, shall we? So there's a couple over here. There's often a lot in the trees at the beginning of these hills, like on low hills. There's some more ammonium. So a lot of ammonium around here. It's normally harder to find than that. I seem to have gotten a good spawn where there's just happens to be a lot of ammonium lying around. Let's see what this has got. Oh, another power. Yeah, I'll take the power cells, why not? There's no point in leaving them there. In amongst the trees, you'll often find on these plants some research samples, so we'll grab some of those. Geez. Struggling to get a decent camera angle to do it. Keep looking around in case there's anything else good around here, like another large research sample that can go into the research chamber. Doesn't look like it. Coming close to half our oxygen already, which means we need to start heading home soon. Grab a few more research samples from these trees that I can see. That's probably going to be all I want to do, because otherwise I'm going to run out of oxygen too quick. Here's a few more. Grab these and then head home. Hey, I'm starting to use my actual backpack's oxygen now, and I've got a little over 2/3 left. Getting close to half, so we really want to get home now. I do have enough oxygen to grab these as I go past. And home. Right. So now we're at 1,100 bytes, so that was absolutely worth it. Now, there was another large research sample in the trees over here, so we'll go over here. We'll look for other research samples that we can grab on the way past. A couple over here on the plants. A couple over here. And then this large sample over here in this tree. So we'll grab that and take that home. And yeah, just keep moving towards that 1,500 we need to construct our first shuttle. Now I am going to need ceramic. I don't think I've made any ceramic yet. Now again, clay, which is the raw resource from which ceramic comes, is available on every world, but it is sometimes rare. It can be hard to find. So you will tend to almost always be making that using a soil centrifuge. So we'll fill our soil centrifuge, go into the interface, find clay, and start that up. Then we'll wander off, let's say this way, and see if we can find some more research samples. There's a few scattered around here. There's a bit of debris. I don't think I've been over there to see what that is. Might see if there's any good debris over there. Oh, a battery. Wow, that is excellent. Batteries are pretty rare as finds, and they are relatively, if not late game, mid game components that takes a while to get the stuff you need to build a battery. But yeah, we'll definitely use that. They are very useful if you're starting a new base. It's great to have a battery, because whenever your machines aren't using power, whatever power you are generating will be stored in the battery, and then when you need that power to either get a machine to create something, to turn something over, etc., etc., you can use the energy stored in the battery to do so. It's not essential, but it's a nice to have, and since I happen to have found one, I will definitely be taking that with us. However, for now, I will plug it into my base, where I believe it won't even be able to charge, I don't think. No, apparently I'm producing enough to run the researcher. If I was running more machines, it would probably run out. I'm definitely going to need some ceramic, so I will smelt a few bits of clay. So there you go. You can see now that both this power cell and the battery are discharging, because I'm now using enough power that it's worth these machines actually draining this battery to increase the speed of their production. Alright, now we have enough for the shuttle. Oh, the shuttle needs 2 aluminium. I didn't know that. I thought it needed ceramic as well. Alright, so we'll make 2 aluminium. The next thing I'm going to have to research is the oxygenator, where I will need 1 ceramic. I really thought I was going to need 2 ceramic, but oh well. I'm probably only going to need 1 to get off this planet. Doesn't matter. That's alright. It just means we'll have an extra ceramic sitting around here doing nothing. When we leave, not a big deal. It'll still all work out. Alright, now we don't have a large printer or anywhere to put the large printer on, so I'm going to need to build another one of these, but I might just use this one and then make another one. So we'll use this one. Connect it up with cables. I'm going to need to print a large printer. Buggy large printer. Takes 3 compound, so we'll get 3 compound. Just do it directly from our backpack. Another ceramic. Let's go over here to this hole that we were making. Oh, that's a convenient little platform. Let's use that. We'll fill up our canisters again. Ooh, look. That goes right into the underground. And it does so right above some quartz. Could use that if I wanted to, but I don't really care, so we'll probably never use this as anything except a hole. Just a place to gather soil. I don't think I need that soil for anything at the moment, I just want the space. Alright, I'm going to need 2 aluminium to construct my first spaceship. Yeah, so planets, let's see what it says. Here we are. So this is the planet you start on. Difficulty easy. Its primary resource is spherolite, so that means in the very early underground cavern layers, that's where you will find the primary resource, and that's spherolite. So that is the resource that's not found on every planet that this planet contains. The secondary resource is malachite. Now malachite, the secondary resource is found either high in mountains or in the very, very deep cavern layers, so you have to go down pretty far. Later in the game you'll get the atmospheric condenser because hydrogen and nitrogen gases are also resources that you need. So this planet produces hydrogen and nitrogen. Those are the things you can get. It also gives you a brief description and tells you what sort of power is available. So medium sun means when the sun is out, there's sort of, a medium amount of it being produced, and wind, medium strength wind. The first planet we're going to visit is going to be Desolo. Now Desolo isn't really a planet, it's actually Sylvan's moon. The primary resource there is wolframite. So in the first cavern layers you'll find wolframite, and wolframite is the raw resource that turns into tungsten. It is the first resource that you need to progress in the game that isn't found on the starting planet. The secondary resource is spherolite, which means up in the hills and down in the very, very deeps you'll find spherolite. Now we can find spherolite on the base planet, so we won't be really going looking for that. Down here is where it's important, so there's very, very low wind, so Desolo, the wind doesn't blow very often, and when it does, it's weak, so it doesn't produce a lot. But there is a lot of sun. However, Desolo has a very short day cycle, so its night and day cycle are very fast. So you do produce power through the sun often, but for only short periods because the sun crosses the sky so quickly. It's not a major deal, but when we actually get there, you'll see how that actually affects production of anything on the planet that requires energy. I could go through the other planets, but I won't now. So if you need to know where to find a particular resource, you can scroll through the Astropedia to find things. Alright, that is the second piece of aluminium that I'm going to need. This is the large printer that I needed. We'll set that to building the small shuttle. Begin. Yeah, so like it's building it kind of slightly over this hole, but the printers don't care. The good thing about the printers, I don't know whether it was always like that, but yeah, they will build on top of each other into the middle of other blocks, so on and so forth, and it'll always produce the package somewhere where it doesn't clip through other things. Sometimes it'll produce them inside something else, but the game has, been programmed so that they can't stay clipped into each other, and one of them will be deployed via the physics engine that the game uses some distance away once it's actually finished and resolved and placed in the game world. You might see that at some point during these playthroughs, but I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Now, I did say I was going to need another platform, so let's build that. Use up some more of my resin. I'm now almost out of compound, so I will load the soil centrifuge up again, and I'll make compound because I'm lazy and I don't want to actually go looking for it and harvesting it. I'll just make it out of dirt. So I think the justification for the game is that basically there's a little bit of all these basic resources in any soil in the game, is the idea, and the soil centrifuge just pulls that small amount of resource out of the soil and coalesces it, combines it, accumulates it into a usable amount. Right, 485. We still need a lot of bytes. We're not researching anything. Let's load up the researcher. Let's go and run around and gather some more of this. We're going to need more large resource items soon as well, so we might check the tree lines again for a few more of those. See if we can find another one. Ah, there's a geological one all the way over there. In fact, there's two. There's another one further on, so I'll remember that. There's one over there too, and one up there. Anyway, these are also research items that can be found on the surface. Often ones that look like this are found underground, but yeah, sometimes you can find them on the surface, and they serve the exact same purpose as the one found in the trees. Load them into the resource chamber, and over time they will produce a large amount of resource bytes. They look different depending on what planet you're on as well, but we'll get to that when we get to another planet. But yeah, it's nice to have a few of these ready to go so you can load your research chamber immediately. Right, that ship is nearly finished. That platform's about 2/3 of the way done as well. There's all the compound that I wanted to produce from the centrifuge. Trying to think, am I forgetting something? Am I going to go to this planet and then realize I forgot something and have to come back and waste my solid fuel thruster? Okay, so that's something worth talking about as well. The solid fuel thruster is a solid fuel thruster. It's not one use, it's essentially two uses. The way it works is that it can get you off this planet and into space, and then if you return immediately, I think that's it. Trying to remember exactly how much uses it is. Well, anyway, what it normally does is if you actually want to visit a new planet, a solid fuel thruster will give you one return trip. You can get to the new planet once, and you can get back once on a single solid fuel thruster. Then it breaks, and you have to make a new one. Alright, so that we're going to be taking with us. Unpack our spacecraft. Woohoo! Right, so like I was alluding to, I believe in the previous video, there is this slot here, and you're supposed to put an oxygenator in there. But it's also the only slot on the ship. There's no other, like, places you can fit things, except the slot underneath, but that slot underneath is specifically for the solid fuel thruster. So we'll slot that now, unpack it, and that will actually allow the ship to now leave the atmosphere, rather than just sit there like a big useless lump. So I'm going to put this large platform in there instead, because that is the only way I'm going to be able to transport this large platform off this planet. The other things that I'm going to need, I'm going to have to carry on my backpack. So I'm going to want to get rid of everything on my backpack that I don't need, take only the things I do need. Before I go anywhere, I have to have this oxygenator, because that's going to be important when I get to the other planet. For that, I'm going to need another bit of aluminium, which I apparently don't have, and ceramic. I've already done the ceramic. It's my medium printer. What else do I need? I've got my 2 power sources, and I'm going to take that battery if I've got the space. I might not have the space. We'll see. Oxygenator, printer. You don't actually need the printer. You could also make the printer there, because you could make a small printer from your backpack using just compound. But I tend to take the medium printer because I do still make a small printer on the next planet, because you're going to need one. But I don't take one with me because it's just compound. It's easy enough to get, especially if you've already got the soil centrifuge. So those 2 things are going to be needed when I can build that oxygenator, which is going to take some time. So let's go look for even more research items. Research samples. There's one. Research that. 41, that's a nice little lump. These will be about 20 each. Let's run around on these hills for a little bit, see if we can find some more research samples. Maybe a big one. There's a big one over there. So we'll go and grab that and take it home. After we've grabbed these. This is okay, this plant is sort of half its mesh is within that compound resource node, so that's sort of messing that up a bit. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Alright, grab that, take it home. But yeah, I think the oxygenator is the last thing we're going to need, and then we can head off to Desolo, our first extraplanetary exploration. I say extraplanetary, I mean, I guess this is extraplanetary. It's not... I mean, I don't know what the law is or anything for this game, but I assume this isn't your home planet, because you get here from a space station when you start a new game. You'd have to go back to episode 1 to see me actually leaving the space station for the first time. Anyway, what are we at now? Now we're at 1,000, so we're getting there, we're getting there. There's a couple, let's go over there. Yeah, so it seems a bit slow and grindy to get enough research bites to do anything, and when you look at some of the future ones, like the RTG I think was 13,000, that seems like a lot, but I will point out that the rate that you get research differs from planet to planet. The more difficult the planet, the more research you'll actually get in either the underground cave layers or from the large research items or the small research items, research samples. So don't be too discouraged. It is difficult to get off planet for the first time, but once you are, you'll find that research starts to come in much faster, much more frequently. Alright, let's head home again. How much oxygen do I have? Enough. There is a free wind turbine over here. Oops. Well, that's worth it. Could take that with me to have extra power on the other planet, but I think space is going to be at a premium, so I might not be able to fit it in. We'll see how we go. For now, I'll just add that to the to my power supplies. Actually, let's not... it doesn't matter where I put it, I guess. I did think of the other one that I've forgotten. The other thing that I'm going to need is a beacon. Because when you land on a new planet, without a shelter, there's nothing to actually indicate where your landing spot was. So if you want to return to it, you either have to remember exactly where you landed. I'll be able to show you more of this when I actually launch into space and we have to land on a new planet. But you'll either have to remember exactly where you landed or have a beacon so that there's actually some indicator from space to show you where it was that you set up camp. So we'll make a beacon. Alright, let's make sure that that is back in that slot. Have enough yet? I do not. Oh, I thought it was 1,500. It's 1,800. Alright, but we're getting close. We're getting close. Really, really close. I'm going to start loading myself up. So I'm going to need that media printer. That's definitely coming with us. I'm going to need the small wind turbine, this small solar panel. Still got enough slots. I'm going to take the battery. Still got 2 slots left. One of those is going to be for the oxygenator, which leaves me 1 more slot, which... It's tempting to take the other wind turbine. It's tempting to maybe take something else, but I know that to construct a soil centrifuge takes 2 compounds. So I'm actually going to take 1 more compound just because. Alright, so the oxygenator is going to be the last thing that I slot in. And we're just waiting to get those last 150, 250... Maths is hard. Last few research bytes that we need to research the oxygenator. So we'll look around and see if I can find some. I've pretty much exhausted my local supply of research bytes. Have to go further afield to find any. But every little bit helps, so we'll grab them. There's another large research item. I'm going to grab that one just because. Grab these small ones while I'm over here. Grab this and head home. So yeah, the other thing is, even while on the planet, there will be no... You'll only have the spaceship indicator to sort of guide you back to wherever you placed your home base on the next planet. So the beacon helps in that respect as well. You can always see the ship, so it's not really necessary, hugely necessary for on-planet, but there will be rare occasions where you will actually launch off and land somewhere other than your home base, and then want to get to it, at which point the beacon will assist, because it'll show you, so long as it's not over the horizon. If it's over the horizon, you can't actually see the beacon. 100. We're close. We're so close. There's a couple of research nodes down here on the first tier of the caverns. So let's descend to the caverns. Oh dear, I really didn't want to fall into that hole. How am I going to get out? Nope. Nope. Ah, there we go. Got out. Cool. Alright, so somewhere over here, or was this the one that just leads to... Apparently nothing. What in the world? That was where there was laterite, so that was me harvesting aluminium. There's a bit more up there still on the ceiling, but this one's pretty much exhausted. I might remove this It's no longer a useful tether line. It doesn't take me anywhere I want to go. So I'm going to pick these tethers up. And then follow this one, because this one has just one, but it's a good 59, so that's a good amount of research points. And that should do it. That should be enough, but we'll grab this last one because we're here. Research the oxygenator, and we'll head back upstairs and make one. And then we shall leave the planet for the first time. Now, I have played a fair bit of this game, and henceforth I'm not getting any achievements as I do any of these things because I've already got them before. If this is your first playthrough and you are sort of, you know, following a similar pattern to mine, you would have got quite a few achievements by now. What was I doing just then? I was just filling up the last little empty bits of my canisters. Because. Not something that I had to do, I was just doing it because. Solid fuel thruster, where is it? Oxygenator, ceramic and aluminium. I have to have both of those. Oops. Need to make that, and then we can leave. Let's save our game. So entering the shelter, or entering a shuttle, or entering a vehicle of any description will actually save your game. The game also saves when you exit to the main menu or exit the program. Very well designed. All the little quality of life things that one could possibly want have really been worked on in this game. I mean, it's had its... Oh, the aluminium, that's what I wanted. Okay, no, so I'm going to have to leave this extra compound behind in favor of that one piece of aluminium. Alright, so now that we're in the shuttle, you can see these two launch keys. Both of them do the exact same thing. Let's press that. We'll leave the planet for the first time. Now, one little thing, and it is a small gripe, but occasionally due to the pathing and the way travelling through space works in this game, is you'll actually travel through a planet, which looks silly, but it's a game. It's something that I can forgive because the gameplay on this game is so good. So like I said, see, you can see where my base is because there's a thing there. These are the landing spots, these little bubbles on the surface of the planet. You can only land in one of these bubbles. You can create your own bubble by creating a landing pad, which we will definitely be doing on the new planet that we land in. So when you first launch into space, you orbit the planet that you just launched from. You can't reach any other planets yet. This is the planet we'll actually be going to, which is Desolo, the moon of Sylvan. So to do that, you have to launch again, and that will actually bring up the solar system. It is centered on the planet you're currently orbiting, so you can't see everything that clearly, but as you can see, there are a few other planets out here. But we won't worry about that right now. We want to get to Desolo, and we're going to go there straight away. So the ship does what it has to do to align itself into an orbit on that planet. Now these big things here that you can see shooting a spire of light into space are relics. I haven't done anything involving the relics yet, but they are the sort of endgame material. They have a lot to do with what the entire purpose of the game is. Just surviving isn't what it's about. It's about finishing the game, and the end point of the game is to activate all those relics. Because that is the end purpose of the game, it behooves me to actually try and land near a relic. Now, depending on the size of the planet, you'll have different numbers of relics. I believe Desolo only has 2, one at each pole. So I'm going to choose a point very close to the relic, and I reckon it's going to have to be this one. But I am going to wait for the horizon to sort of turn over a little bit and see, maybe there's another one. Ah, see? It's good I've waited. I can land right on that relic, basically. So we're going to land there. And I'm not sure, but I do believe this might land me literally on the relic. Yeah, it's not liking it. I think it doesn't want to let me land there because it's going to be on the relic. Yeah, it doesn't want me to land there. So it's decided that that is not a safe landing spot. and it's removed it. So that must have been something to do with the world's random generation. I guess the developers had put in some code to prevent you from landing physically on top of the relic, which is just not safe. So the landing points are somewhat random due to the random generation. So here I've landed like on a sort of bit of a hill, but that's okay. Ah! And it's launched me up into space. But we're alright, we didn't die, that's fine. This is a decent flat spot. The problem with these flat spots are they are in craters, so if you want to use a solar power, you're actually in a crater and the sides will actually mess up your solar power. So I'm going to move up here. Now you can just move your shuttle around, which is kind of somewhat amazing, but you know, it's a game. Take that out, but I'm not going to place it yet. I need to find some nice flat spots. Yeah, so you see 68, those are really good amounts of research to get from almost nothing. Now, let's make our base. This looks like a nice spot right here. It's relatively flat. Let's find the flattest piece to use as our initial point. And then flatten it a little bit further using our terrain manipulation tool. And we are going to place, well, first we'll move our spaceship a little bit closer so we've got oxygen. Move our large platform onto that. So it's not perfectly flat. You can sort of see it's at a bit of a funny angle, but that's okay. It's flat enough for our purposes. We'll put that over there. And yeah, so there's spherolite, as I showed you before in the... I can't remember whether it was this one or the previous one. I believe it was this one. Spherolite is a secondary resource on Desolo, and this is the high hills of Desolo. It's not that high, but it is high. These geysers don't do anything in the game at the moment. They are definitely there for something. Pretty sure there's going to be some sort of power or possibly, you know, resource associated with that in the future, but it hasn't been programmed yet. So they're there, they look cool, but they don't do anything. If you jump into them, they'll launch you up really high and you'll die when you fall back down because it's so high. Alright, things we need to unpack. Let's unpack the printer, because we're going to need that. Rotate it around so it points the right way. We're going to need the power, so we'll unpack those. Now, here's where power generation and their ability of the small ones to not actually need to be attached to anything kind of comes in handy. Because you can place these like this instead, and when they are producing power, so when there's wind or sun, they will still power this platform, which is useful. I'm going to put the battery on here as well. Now the battery doesn't. The battery just falls to the ground, so it needs to actually be socketed. The beacon will work even if it's just sitting on the floor, but I tend to put it in a socket because I'm that way inclined. I just do it. The oxygenator could have gone into that slot, but I don't need the oxygenator just yet, so I'm not going to put it there. So first I'm going to make a soil centrifuge, so I need to find one compound on the surface of this planet. There's resin, I need compound, I just need one compound. Let's wander around until we find some compound. There's clay. Clay is one of the rarer resources. It is a common resource, it's found on every planet, but you don't often actually find it, so... compound. I just need one compound. Come on, guys. Show me the compound. Was there any in this hole that I started in? Oh, there was. Okay, well, we'll go back down here and get some compound. Is there more compound under the surface? There is. Good. Ah, well, that's disappointing. Yeah, so your terrain manipulation tool will tell you if there's more below the surface. And there isn't any more, so that's all I can get from this one section. So, recharge my oxygen, and we'll have to go and wander off into the distance. There's some debris over there, which is... might have something useful attached to that panel, so we'll go and check. Nothing. Alright, there's a decent bit of compound here, and there we go. There's that one compound we needed, and one more for good measure. So now we'll return to our new base that we've just begun. And we can build a solar centrifuge, and since the sun is up, and the wind is blowing, we're now getting enough power to produce this at a decent rate. Alright, what else are we going to need? Well, we are going to need to descend below the surface of this planet, so we'll probably start making that very soon as well. Since this resin is right here, I'm going to gather some of this. Let's get 3 of these so we can immediately make another large platform. That's 4, but that'll do. Don't need to go crazy. Had an extra compound as well, that's good because that's my extra tether bundle for when I need it. Oops, I'm not in range of my ship, so I'm still not getting any oxygen yet. And that's it, we're now out of power. So the battery's empty, there's no wind, and there's no sun. Now you'll see I am very, very slowly recharging off the small shuttle. If I move out of range of the small shuttle, that'll stop. The small shuttle cannot charge other buildings. So this is the problem with arriving at a new planet, is that often you have to wait until there's something that produces power. So now there's a little bit of wind and I can produce a little bit more power, so we're getting some more of this built. Nearly finished the soil centrifuge, which is going to be great because that will solve a lot of our basic resource problems in the early game. We're definitely going to be limited by power, and that is how it goes whenever you reach a new planet. You're always limited by power. Later in the game, when you get RTGs, you are less limited. RTGs produce a little bit. It's not heaps, but it's enough, and it's continuous, and it's not reliant on either wind or sun. Alright, so that's our soil centrifuge. So that's our... From here, it's very easy to produce the rest of a base. Now, I do have enough already to produce a large platform, so we'll get that building. We'll also dump into our soil centrifuge. We'll get that producing compound. Now, this is going to make the printer go very slowly. You'll see I did mention how quickly the sun moves across the sky on Desolo. So it was day, and it is already almost night again. So that took very, very little time. And now we have no power because it's nighttime and the wind isn't blowing. That's how quick it is. I'm going to get rid of this just because it's kind of in the way. I don't want or need it just yet. Because it's not actually in the game yet, like it doesn't do anything for me. So I'm going to get rid of it because it's going to be in the way and I'm going to want to expand my base in this direction anyway. So we'll pave over all of this, make it nice and flat for when we expand our base in this direction. Choose a point where we can actually descend into the planet, and I reckon that's going to be right here. Right, we still don't have our oxygenator set up on anything, so let's see. I really want the battery to stay on there. Alright, we're going to have to wait. Where is that oxygenator anyway? There it is. Might as well unpack it. But yes, it won't do anything until it's actually slotted into something. And that'll probably go on... Well, probably not these slots. It'll probably go onto a slot on this table. I'm going to want to put a medium storage on this. That's video 1 or 2, or wasn't 3. But medium storage, don't always use them, but they do come in handy for things like the soil centrifuge and the furnace, just as a place for the module to offload its produced resources. But yeah, we'll have to wait for this large base to finish printing. I suppose we don't. Alright, tell you what, we'll take the resources off the soil centrifuge. We'll take the soil centrifuge off and put the oxygenator on it. So for now, I sort of know more or less how far my tethers are going to go, so I can begin descending. Oh, well, that wasn't as steep as I'd hoped. I was trying to pick a reasonably steep one. Steep ones are kind of harder to use. They take longer to climb back out again as well, but you want to get down quickly. You don't want to spend too long going down because your descent was too shallow. Now I'm out of power, so it's going to be very hard to descend until the sun comes up again. But you can, because they give you a little sort of almost infinite amount of tiny amount of power to use, so that you can't get yourself into a point where that's completely inescapable. But I prefer to actually be able to use my wide mod, just so that the tunnel isn't so claustrophobic. It's just a personal preference. It's not necessary, but it does make it hard to see as well, so yeah, it's kind of good. Alright. So this is the first cavern layer of Desolo. Haha, and there's lots of debris on Desolo. And there we found something that is relatively useful and we might make use of due to our power budget being so low. A piece of debris that happens to be a medium power generator. And not only that, but there's also a carbon on here. And that is the actual source. Alright, now there's also going to be a lot of research around here, so I'm going to drop a few tethers. Make it easy to find this research later. There's also some power cells. They're going to come in handy when we get back upstairs. And yeah, grab all this research. So you see 80s, 70s. So we've gone from a planet where you get 50s underground to a planet where you get 80s and 90s underground. Now this medium generator takes up 2 slots, which is a lot, but especially in the early game when you're struggling to have enough power and you need to you really need to get started, you need to get going, it can be useful to use this medium power generator to supplement your power demands. So I'm going to slot this on here, and I'm going to load it with this. I'm also going to slot this power cell into there, and you'll see that that printer is now going much faster. Alright, how much research do I have? 1,000. So the first thing I'm actually going to want on this planet, I know, is going to be the landing pad. Well, not the first thing, but it's one of the things I'm going to want, so I'm going to research that now. And that's because it just gives your space shuttle somewhere specific to land every time, because otherwise every time we're actually going to land down here in this hole, whereas if I have a landing pad, I'll actually be able to land at the landing pad when I return to this planet in later stages of the game, and you will return. Alright, you can move the oxygenator off, move that power cell over there, put the refinery back. What's the next thing we're going to need? The next thing we're probably going to need is a research chamber. So let's get ready to print a research chamber. 1 resin, 2 compound. I have 1 resin and I have 2 compound. So that's good, I don't need to make anything with my soil centrifuge. But we will make more resin with the soil centrifuge, so I'm going to go over here and fill up my soil canisters again. Return to the soil centrifuge and fill that up. Alright, so that power generator is almost out. We'll just put that there for now. We can return this for now. Gonna need one of these. I'm going to have to build a small printer because I'm gonna need one of those soon enough. We'll just use that on the ground for now because it's not important. Plug it in so it has power. The first thing I'm going to want to do is build a couple of medium storages. Well, at least one. And that's going to require the resin that I'm waiting for the soil centrifuge to finish with. And yeah, see, now we're pretty much out of power, so we are running this entire base of what is produced by this tiny little wind turbine, and you can see that it's barely producing anything. Alright, the soil centrifuge is done, so now it's producing a bit more than it was before. But I'm about to... Oh, okay. So now here's something that you didn't see before. Oh, they changed that. Even without power, you can now begin a printing thing. So before, in previous editions of the game, if there wasn't any power, you couldn't even start the printer because there wasn't enough power to begin, and the icon on the start button would just indicate that there wasn't enough power. But I guess they changed that, so now you can start it so that when power does arrive, via, in my case, probably the solar that's about to come above the horizon, it immediately starts printing. So that's nice. That's another quality of life improvement that I think is very much worthwhile. I'm not going to be using this generator for a while now, so we'll take it off. This is going to be a research chamber, so it doesn't need that, so I can put the beacon there. There was a research item close by that I saw before. Where was it? Over there. So I'm going to go grab that. Return to base. I'm going to put this on here because that way the soil centrifuge has somewhere to unpack its produced resources. That goes there. That goes on there and gets started. You'll see that'll probably drain the entire battery. But that's okay because we're producing research, which we need to do. It's just part of the game. It's how we progress. But yeah, so that's how you get a basic, or how I get a basic new base started on a secondary planet. That is sort of the minimal requirements. I can find this base due to the beacon. I can produce most of my basic resources using the soil centrifuge. I've got all the printers that I need already, and I've got some basic power producers. This was lucky, finding a medium generator. Again, I could use that. I could produce organic. I don't think there's any organic found naturally on Desolo. Or there is, no, but you'll find it down in these craters when you do. And it'll just be like some dry grass looking stuff. But because that's a medium generator, it only works with carbon, so I'll have to produce a furnace. See that grass looking stuff down there? I'll have to produce a furnace before I can convert that organic into carbon to power the generator. So we won't worry about that for now. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to find more of my content, you can subscribe to the channel using that subscribe button. Makes it nice and easy to find the channel. And if you'd like to get notifications when I release a new video, hit that bell icon. Now, if you didn't like the video, hit that dislike button. That's what it's for. But if you do, please leave me a comment. Let me know what it was about the video you didn't like. Maybe I can improve on it in the next one if you let me know what it was. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.